Labour's hypocrisy is back in the spotlight, and Patrick Christys has launched an all-out assault on the party's shameless double standards. As energy prices soar and vulnerable pensioners struggle to survive the winter, Labour MPs are quietly funding their own luxury lifestyles using your money. It's an explosive story that's left the nation outraged. Keir Starmer and his team claim to champion fairness and compassion, but the truth is far more sinister. Buckle up, because this is a scandal you won't soon forget.
Give us our money back, you shameless, pensioner-freezing, champagne socialist, heartless hypocrites. That's what we should all be saying to the likes of Labour Minister Liz Kendall. She lives in a £4 million house in Notting Hill. She stripped the elderly of their winter fuel payment so they'll freeze to death this winter. And she's getting the taxpayer to pay the heating bill in her second home. She reportedly got you to pay £3,182 for her energy costs for her constituency home between April 2023 and July this year. Well, poor Liz and her husband live on an estimated combined salary of £760,000 a year. She's the Work and Pensions Secretary. She gets a £67,500 ministerial salary on top of her 91 grand as an MP, reportedly. Her husband is an old Etonian banker, and his salary is estimated at £600,000 a year. That's according to various reports. Now, it makes me sick that the Labour Cabinet Minister responsible for frail, lonely, vulnerable pensioners freezing in their own homes is living a life of luxury, and she still expects you to pay her bills.
Labour's Work and Pensions Secretary, Liz Kendall, has emerged as the symbol of everything wrong with the current government. Tasked with protecting the nation's most vulnerable, Kendall instead appears to be protecting her own comfort. Reports reveal she claimed a staggering £3,182 in taxpayer-funded energy expenses for her second home. Yes, her second home. This while living in a £4 million mansion in Notting Hill with her husband, a banker reportedly earning £600,000 a year. Kendall and her husband's combined household income is estimated to exceed £760,000 annually, yet she still sees fit to pass her energy bills onto taxpayers. Meanwhile, pensioners across Britain, those who rely on government support to keep their homes warm, are being left out in the cold. It's a grotesque display of privilege that has ignited public fury. Kendall is far from alone in her hypocrisy. Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves, derisively nicknamed Rachel Freeze, claimed an eye-watering £4,400 for her heating expenses. Since 2019, 162 Labour MPs have claimed a shocking £425,000 for energy costs on expenses. This includes Energy Secretary Ed Miliband, who saw his claims rise from £650 to over £1,100 in a single year, and Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson, whose expenses surged to nearly £1,900. Perhaps the most egregious case is that of Liam Byrne, who holds the dubious title of Labour's top claimant, with £17,000 in energy expenses over 6 years. Byrne was a vocal proponent of cutting the winter fuel payment, a lifeline for many elderly Britons. The optics couldn't be worse. While Labour MPs enjoy taxpayer-funded warmth, pensioners are forced to choose between heating their homes and putting food on the table. This scandal isn't just about expenses, it's about trust. Labour has always positioned itself as the party of the working class, yet its MPs live lives that are entirely detached from the struggles of ordinary people. Patrick Christys didn't mince words when he called out this hypocrisy. Labour's leaders claim to care about the vulnerable, yet their actions show they care more about their own comfort. The outrage doesn't stop at domestic policy. Labour's priorities on the international stage are equally baffling. While cutting support for British pensioners, the party has poured over £516 million into foreign aid for farmers overseas. To make matters worse, Labour's own tax policies have targeted British farmers, aiming to raise £520 million domestically. It's a classic case of robbing Peter to pay Paul, or in this case, hammering British workers to fund international causes. The ongoing migrant crisis adds another layer to Labour's questionable priorities. Under Starmer's leadership, over 20,000 migrants have arrived in the UK, with the government funding an ever-expanding network of hotels to house them. Patrick Christys captured the public's frustration perfectly. Why don't our pensioners just get in a dinghy and come across the channel? Maybe then Labour would actually care about them. Labour's actions reveal a party that is increasingly out of touch. While their rhetoric emphasises fairness and compassion, their policies consistently favour the elite. This isn't lost on the public. Recent polling shows that Keir Starmer's approval ratings have plummeted to -32, a disastrous number for a sitting Prime Minister. Labour has also lost ground on key issues such as housing and living costs, with the Conservatives now holding a slight lead in addressing mortgage affordability. The government's international strategy has done little to shore up support. Keir Starmer's attempts to build a relationship with Donald Trump have been met with scepticism. Trump's former national security advisor recently told GB News that the two leaders are unlikely to form a strong personal bond, citing their vastly different personalities. This comes as Starmer continues to push for closer ties with the EU, a stance that risks alienating the United States. Domestically, Labour faces a growing list of challenges. Transport Secretary Louise Hay's recent resignation, following revelations of a 2014 conviction for falsely reporting a stolen phone, has further tarnished the party's reputation. Meanwhile, Labour's plan for change has been criticised as too little, too late. While the plan includes ambitious targets for improving public services, many see it as a desperate attempt to regain lost trust. Pollster Matt Goodwin has warned that Labour is on track to become one of the most unpopular governments in British history. He points to a perfect storm of crises: rising energy costs, a struggling NHS, and growing public discontent over immigration. According to Goodwin, the government's failure to address these issues has left it increasingly isolated from the electorate. Labour's response to these challenges has been unconvincing. Starmer's team insists that their policies are designed to benefit the majority, but the reality tells a different story. From energy expenses to foreign aid, Labour's decisions consistently prioritise the elite over ordinary Britons. As winter sets in, the stakes couldn't be higher. Pensioners are bracing for what could be one of the harshest winters in recent memory, with little support from a government that seems more interested in maintaining its own comfort. Meanwhile, Labour MPs continue to claim exorbitant expenses, secure in the knowledge that their lifestyles are protected. Patrick Christie's ended his segment with a powerful call to action. Give us our money back, give us our dignity back, and stop freezing the people you claim to represent. Labour's energy expense scandal is more than just a political misstep. It's a betrayal of the very people the party claims to champion. As public outrage grows, one thing is clear: the British people won't forget this winter of discontent anytime soon. Don't forget to hit that like button and stay tuned for more political updates.